The civil rights movement was more than just Dr. King,
Marching.
Rosa Parks,
Sitting.
Malcolm X.
Fighting.
It was.
Your mom.
Your grandma.
Your best friend's great aunt.
It was everyday people like you and me. Okay, class. Today we're going to look at all the exciting things in the Ohio Civil Rights Museum. There's a lot of interesting history here, and I hope you will all take full advantage of it during your guided tour experience.
Why do we have to do this? I mean, it's better than sitting in class for 2 hours. And still, it shouldn't be so boring.
Should it be so boring? You think history is boring?
Yes, actually.
So then why are we still doing this? Didn't we already learn all about it in school? I was pretty good at it.
Says the person who got a D- on the civil rights check-in.
I stayed up late.
Typical.
Okay, go have fun.
Fun? This isn't anything but fun.
Look, we can either do the tour and complain the whole time, or we can do the tour and actually make the most of it, but we have to do either way. Come on.
The Supreme Court rules in 1896, blacks are
Separate but equal.
yet outside in the middle of July in Birmingham, Alabama, sweat drips.
D-O-W-N.
Your forehead, your neck, your back, drenching your shirt, your shorts, your socks.
Separate but equal.
You find a water fountain, your water fountain, and press the small rusty button. Water arches up and out, waiting for your puckered lips.
Separate but equal.
Only it's hot, brown, tastes like dirt. You glance around, checking for them. Then, sneak a sip from their fountain.
Separate but equal.
It's cold, ice cold, and refreshing. You sigh.
Separate but equal. You are not.
Supreme Court cases, boring.
You do realize that these court cases change the face of America?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I want to read about it. Can't we go somewhere cooler, like with World War II or something?
Come on, let's just go through the museum in order and then we can do something actually fun.
Hello everyone. We are so happy to have you visit the museum today. Let me introduce you to my colleagues. This is Cassandra, this is Kayla, and that's Kimberly. And lastly, I'm Marana. We are all curators at the museum. We're so excited to have you today for our guided tour. Please don't be stupid. I hate stupid people.
TMI, but okay. Hello, welcome to the Ohio Civil Rights Museum. It's nice to meet you all. You're the first people we've had in this area all day.
Wonder why.
Hey, I heard that. Come on. I've worked here for years. Don't you want to know how these cases affected people?
In his defense, why would we know? If it was super important or something to America, we would have learned about it in school. So why would we learn about it now?
Seriously, guys, why?
You're in a museum. One can argue that you're here to learn, even about Supreme Court cases. How about this? We'll tell you a bit about four Supreme Court cases, and if you don't think they were impactful, you can move on to the next section. Nothing is keeping you here.
Seriously?
Sure, that sounds great. We'll happily listen to your cases.
Okay, the arguably most significant Supreme Court case in the civil rights movement is Brown versus the Board of Education, and it overruled Plessy versus Ferguson. The first case we'll talk about is Plessy versus Ferguson. The Plessy versus Ferguson case happened in 1896, 30 years after the Civil War ended, freeing the formerly enslaved.
But, of course, racism was still around, and people in Florida were starting to add segregated train cars, and segregation was popping up everywhere else along the state. If a black person sat in a white car, they would be arrested and have to pay a $25 fine, which in modern money would be $900.
Really? I'm already broke. I would have went in debt.
A young group of black men were concerned and sued the state of Florida. The case found its way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court eventually decided that segregation was constitutional as long as things were equal. From this case, we get the phrase separate but equal. But as we will later see, things were not.
Bro, that's stupid. How did that pass?
Because the Supreme Court was made up of stupid white men.
Okay, wait. If that makes segregation legal in Florida, Why did it spread to the rest of the South?
Because the South didn't want their former slaves, who they saw as traitors, to be living next to them. And when Presley said that segregation was okay, they just copied what Florida did.
And since the Supreme Court was made up of racists, they didn't do anything when segregation threatened to spread. So all the former slave states quickly became states where segregation was made into Jim Crow laws.
Wait, wasn't there segregation in the North too?
Yes, while there was segregation in the North, it was more subtle than in the South. This is mainly because the South made all their segregation practices into laws. Meanwhile, in the North, it was just expected that you follow the segregation practices.
Dude, this is too much information for my brain.
Wait, you have a brain?
No, you know I don't. Shut up. Let's get on with it. What's the next case?
The next court case is Civil Rights Movement was called Brown versus the Board of Education.
I feel like I've heard about that one before.
You probably did. It changed the face of the civil rights movement. It happened when a little girl named Linda Brown wanted to go to a white school that was closer to her house compared to the black school she had to attend. Mind you, this happened in 1954.
Hold on. That's almost 58 years since Plessy.
Wait, so no black person wanted to go to white school in the 58 years between the cases? I doubt that.
It's not that black people didn't want to go to white schools before, it's that no black family dared to bring it up to the Supreme Court, fearing the consequences of standing up to white people in segregation.
It was very dangerous for black people to stand up to white people in that era. Any black family that stood up to the system usually faced verbal harassment, physical violence, losing their house, and sometimes had to flee further north.
Well, that's a lot to be risking for something as simple as going to school.
Yeah, if it were up to me, I wouldn't go to school at all.
Well, keep in mind that black people could only advance in the world through their jobs. To get a better job, you need better education. And 100% of the time, white schools offer better education than black schools.
Whoa, that's insane. They actually got affected by how they went to school and what textbooks they used?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Well, sorry, it just took a minute to register in my brain, okay?
Actually, it makes sense that he's confused. It changed the face of America. It suddenly offered a lot more opportunities to advance, especially considering black Americans lived in poverty. So a better education equals a better job equals more money, and more money means you're able to claw out of poverty.
So that means I might be open to the possibility that these cases are a little bit more important than what I took them to be.
That's what I've been literally saying the whole time.
I'm not saying that Adara is right. I'm just saying that there's an option that she's not wrong.
Either way, I'm glad you guys are finally realizing that court cases, especially these ones, were very vital to the civil rights movement.
Maybe you won't keep thinking court cases are boring and useless?
Don't get your hopes up. Are we ready to go?
Okay.
Fine, yeah, let's move on. I want to get out of this museum ASAP.
Brown versus Board of Education plus
Inherently unequal.
an unconstitutional violation of the 14th Amendment equals white schools plus black schools equals
A great day for America and its court.
equals segregation in public schools now illegal in theory. Dr. King was arrested on January 26, 1956.
For speeding,
On March 22nd, 1956.
for organizing the Montgomery bus boycott,
On September 3rd, 1958.
For loitering.
On September 5th, 1958.
for disobeying a police order,
On October 19th, 1960.
for sitting in a restaurant,
On May 4th, 1961.
For obstructing the sidewalk and parading without a permit.
On July 27th, 1962.
for holding a prayer vigil on and
On.
Dr. King was arrested, his body detained, but never his spirit.
So, look who decided to show up.
Hello, everybody. It is a pleasure to have you all here
for our civil rights presentation. To begin, let us first introduce them.
And let us show you around. My name is Mr. Amy, and these are my colleagues, Mr. Ed and Mr. Margaret. As you all know, this museum is about civil rights, and we will be your guides. We have much to show you and hope that you learn something new today.
We will be your go-to for everything during your tour today. If you have any questions, we are right here to answer them and show you along.
Let's begin the tour. The first section will be about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
We've already learned all about him in school. What more could there be to know?
We actually get to have an immersive experience with pictures and experts. That is more than any classroom learning could ever give you.
As you may know, Martin Luther King Jr. was famous civil rights activist. He was known for a speech called I Have a Dream. He came up with the speech on the spot, just improvising it.
Isn't that amazing? The speech is echoed through history as one of the greatest speeches of all time, and much of it was improvised. He is an excellent example of resilience and dedication to the equality of all people.
He was born to Martin Luther King Sr. and Alberta Williams King on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia.
So, what was King's life like growing up in Georgia?
King's childhood was spent growing up in segregation, and he expressed feeling lonely during his childhood despite having a large family. He had two siblings, a sister Christine and a brother Alfred.
Martin Luther King Jr. did many great things, including the writing and presenting of speeches, the planning and attending of protests, and advocating for civil disobedience. He did all this before his death on April 4th, 1968, at the hands of James Earl Ray.
He was very influential and helped a lot during the civil rights movement. One significant thing about Martin Luther King Jr. is that he's one of the youngest people to ever receive the Nobel Peace Prize. How old do you think he was when he received the prize?
28?
He was actually 25. King was a preacher by trade, but a speaker by heart. Sadly, he was assassinated at the young age of 39 in his motel where he was staying, while giving his support to workers who were on strike in Memphis, Tennessee. At this time, none of King's children were even teenagers. His mother was also assassinated 5 years after he was. His dad outlived most of the King family, except Christine, who lived on after his death in 1984. How much longer do you think Christine outlived them all?
I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 years?
Actually 38 whole years after Martin Luther King's death. Chaos broke out and roughly 200 cities erupting in riots.
Well done with those facts, Mr. Denball. Ms. Reed, take it away.
If you'll please follow me, we can enter a specially curated exhibit on the ethics of the civil rights movement. This is a sensitive topic where many viewpoints come in, so I'll try to play the middle ground here. We've already learned about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, who is from the Nation of Islam. Unlike King, who supported Gandhi's principles of nonviolent action, Malcolm X wanted to directly fight back against the oppressors.
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
Well, that's not necessarily. In fact, because of this, Malcolm was deliberately not invited to the historic March on Washington, which took place on August 28, 1963. Young people in the 60s especially identified with Malcolm's view on protesting segregation. Ethically, though, many people consider this path violent and immoral. But I would like to assure you that civil rights may never have been achieved if not for violence. Now, most people consider Martin Luther King's path to be moral. While it's more moral than Malcolm X's, it still violates laws. So is it okay? These questions may go unanswered, especially since everybody has a different opinion. I think that both were necessary for ultimate success in the movement. I also believe that both strategies have many different interpretations. For example, can Dr. King's strategy say that you can break any law as long as you think it's unethical? Regardless, these are important questions. So, if you were in the movement, which side would you be on? Would you be violent like Malcolm X or passive like Dr. King?
I think I probably would have been passive like MLK.
So you would break the law?
Well, when you put it like that,
Well, Mr. Markowitz, it's your time to shine.
All right. Most of you here may know how segregation made things difficult. What I am going to explain is its unethical ways. The first one, which a lot of you may have guessed already, is that segregation created unequal to everyone. The first one, places reserved for black people, oh, that is how segregation worked, were of very poor quality compared to white-only places. For example, when there were segregated drinking fountains, white people had perfectly cold drinking fountains, while black people complained that their water was hot and tasted like dirt.
That's so unfair.
Indeed. Segregation also violates the three fundamental rights, which are life, liberty, and property. It violates these fundamental rights because it gives more education to white people than black people, which basically means making black lives harder and paying black people poorly compared to black people, which means they're making it harder for blacks to own property. Many officials try to use this for their own benefit, such as Alabama Governor George Wallace calling for segregation forever and forcing black people to take extremely hard literacy tests and do things like count jelly beans in a jar to make it impossible for black people.
How is that even legal? Were black politicians that hungry for power?
Sadly, white politicians were power hungry enough to kill for power. They could do whatever they wanted because of the Jim Crow laws in the South that had been legal since 1896, and the Jim Crow laws allowed segregation, and it was made to enforce white supremacy along with the Ku Klux Klan. Also, the police chief of Birmingham, Alabama, Eugene Conner, nicknamed Bull, committed extreme brutality against protesters in Birmingham, such as spraying black people with fire hoses, making up false crimes to throw them in jail, and even having police dogs attack any protesters, especially children. That is the killer segregation.
Well, it's been fun teaching you about the movement that shook the nation.
Well, that's the end of our exhibit. I hope you have a good day.
You may move to the next exhibit.
We shall know. Oh, hello. Welcome to our Montgomery Bus Boycott exhibit. My name is Elijah, and I'm a curator here at the Ohio Civil Rights Museum. These are my colleagues.
I'm Lynn. I'm the historian and I specialize in the history of the civil rights movement.
I'm Rachel, and I'm an intern here at the Ohio Civil Rights Museum.
We are very excited to start our portion of your tour. Before we begin, do you have any questions?
Yeah, in that picture, why are they riding bikes?
They're riding bikes to avoid using the public buses.
But what was wrong with the buses? Were they broken?
Nothing was wrong with the buses, per se. Back in the 1950s, buses in most places in the South were segregated. Black people could sit in white designated areas without facing consequences from being jailed or social humiliation.
As you can see, this is Rosa Parks, and over here.
I hope you all have a basic understanding of it, but if you didn't know, Rosa Parks was a woman who, in December 1955, refused to give up her seat to a white woman on a public bus in Montgomery, Alabama. The police were called and she was arrested and jailed. Parks was bailed out 4 hours later, and her story formed what is now called the Montgomery Bus Boycott, which lasted 381 days and led to the desegregation of Montgomery buses. Boycotting is purposely not paying for an item or service in protest of an issue.
Contrary to belief, she wasn't actually the first person to do so. Claudette Coleman was the first person to refuse to give up her seat.
What? Rosa Parks wasn't the first. She was the only figure I learned about in school.
Well, because of Colvin's pregnancy, age, and how Rosa Parks was considered a more trustworthy and reliable figure for the civil rights movement, the limelight fell away from her. At the time, she wanted to be a lawyer, but when she got arrested for giving up not giving up her seat, she felt like she would never get the education and professional life she wanted.
Not only that, Coburn was already a part of the civil rights movement. She had been trained for civil disobedience by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP.
Civil disobedience? What's that?
Civil disobedience is refusing to obey the commands from the government without using violence.
An example of civil disobedience would be a sit-in, which is a group of people who would occupy segregated areas at lunch hours and ask to be served, knowing they couldn't. It was a form of peaceful protest and an example of civil disobedience.
So then, what organization started the Montgomery bus boycott?
Good question. Shortly after Fox's arrest, the Montgomery Improvement Association, or MIA, was formed by Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph Abernathy, and E.D. Nixon as a response. The MIA played a crucial role in organizing the movement and sustaining it. They established a system of carpools and other transportation methods to help those who could not walk to work due to the boycott.
How many people participated in the Montgomery bus boycott?
So out of 50,000 African Americans, 30,000 to 40,000 participated in the boycott. Going back to the question in the beginning, they biked, walked, or used carpools, like Lynn said, that defeated the bus company of a substantial portion of the revenue.
Wow, I can't even comprehend that many people. How did so many people feel inspired to participate? I think today we lack the initiative which inspired so much change in our past.
The boycott was ignited by Dr. King, who gave a speech titled Address to the Montgomery Improvement Association Mass Meeting, 4 days after the arrest of Parks, which sparked the 381-day boycott. Dr. King said, quote, "We, the disinherited of this land, we who have been oppressed for so long, are tired of going through the long night of captivity, and now we are reaching out for the daybreak of freedom and justice and equality."
So I have a question
Shut
about.
up!
Nobody cares, we're not
Can
listening.
you both stop it? This is important.
Exactly. So, what was your question?
What made the bus boycott finally resolve?
So the bus boycott finally ended when the federal district court ruled that Governor V. Gale that Alabama segregation laws for buses were unconstitutional. After the appeal, the case moved to the Supreme Court, and on November 13th, 1956, the court upheld the state ruling making segregation on buses fully illegal.
Really? I never knew that.
Most people don't. The most known part about the boycott was Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat. Well, we're near the end of our exhibit. I hope you enjoyed walking through.
Well, that was kind of interesting. I can't believe people were that close to each other.
To walk the streets of Montgomery, Alabama. To boycott the buses for as long as it takes. Walk.
To school?
To church.
To work.
Walk. For miles and miles, feet blistering, sore.
Walk.
When your breath clouds the air,
When the sun burns your skin, ignore the pain.
Just walk.
as the days pass.
As the seasons shift,
As the year turns over,
Nothing changes for it.
1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8.
9.
10.
And so on for 381 days until finally justice prevails.
Hi, I'm Emma, the first curator for our portion of the presentation today. My colleagues are Arthur, John, and Carmen. I specialize in civil disobedience among the civil rights movement. I will begin by telling you a little bit about what that looked like. Ride or die,
Where there are things worse than death, like being deprived of freedom until your last rattling breath.
ride or die,
From Washington, D.C. down to New Orleans.
To test a theory.
ride or die by way of James Farmer endorsement. He organized the Freedom Rides to challenge Boynton v. Virginia's desegregation non-enforcement. Ride or die,
On a rickety Greyhound. 13 brave souls
Headed southbound.
ride or die,
on an armed mob rides at a bus station, shouting.
Burn them alive.
ride or die when windows are smashed, when spirits are broken, when tires are slashed. Ride or die,
When a bomb is tossed inside. Smoke and flames everywhere.
Nowhere left to hide.
ride or die,
After you make it out the door, gasping for air.
Only to be beaten and clubbed once more.
ride or die,
As a bullet cracks the air, sealing the end of this vigil.
vigilante affair.
Ride or die.
As the mob leaves the scene, you lie in the grass, wondering,
Is this all just a dream?
Ride or die.
This will not be in vain.
400 more freedom riders.
You will gain.
Ride or die.
Until they have no other choice.
But to listen to your demands.
To hear your steady voice.
Ride or die.
Because baby, this is war.
And victory will come justly.
But not till 1964.
Break their spirits, not their bones, at Parchment Farm, where freedom riders were held, jailed for using white restrooms, trespassing, unlawful assembly, disorderly conduct. Again,
And again.
And again.
And again.
and again,
And again.
And again.
And again.
civil disobedience means standing up to unfair laws peacefully. During the civil rights movement, people used it to fight injustice, and it worked.
Why are those people just sitting there?
That's a sit-in. These students were protesting segregation. Even when people yelled at them, they stayed seated. This photo shows the Montgomery bus boycott. For over a year, people walked everywhere instead of riding segregated buses.
What happened to that bus? Why is it on fire?
That's from the Freedom Rides. Brave activists rode buses into the South to challenge segregation, knowing they might face violence. Still, they stayed peaceful.
Did any of them ever fight back?
No, that's the point of civil disobedience. They didn't fight back with fists, they fought back with courage, unity, and peaceful resistance. And it worked. It helped change unfair laws without violence.
Who are these people?
These are some of the Little Rock Nine, a group that planned to walk into the school after Brown v. Board of Education, which was a court ruling that was passed in theory to integrate schools. They all showed bravery and courage, and the other nine, one in particular, was a face.
Okay, who was the girl that being screamed at?
Her name was Elizabeth Eckford, and she was the only one who stayed true to the original plan as the others drove to school that day. But as I said before, they all showed bravery by finishing out the school year and graduating, while they all faced hate, slurs, insults, violence, and other hateful actions. The nine is interpreted in this famous poem.
The summer of 1957.
I will not force my people to integrate against their will.
I will fight to preserve the rights guaranteed by the people
Under the Constitution. And that includes control of the school.
Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas,
where 9 black students were
vetted,
Counseled.
enrolled
to desegregate the South and test the ruling of Brown v. Board of Education just be torn.
day in,
And day out.
all in the name of hope.
Armed soldiers,
all around you,
They line the sidewalks.
Surround you.
everyone's yelling,
screaming.
In your ear.
Someone spits on you.
but you lift your head high. You won't dare let them see you cry, because you are Elizabeth Eckford.
You will be fine.
Because you are one of the Little Rock Nine. Stand tall.
And think.
I'll go back.
No matter what.
The poem shows the resilience of Elizabeth and everybody else taking part in the civil rights movement as they all faced threats, slurs, and other hateful actions, while they put their own lives at risk. All the activists, no matter their age or views, all needed resilience to tolerate everything they went through.
Then my favorite part, the people in the civil rights movement were very resilient to hardship. I remember a poem about the Civil Rights Act, where Congress stated that all people should have the right to vote, but it had some failings, like not giving the ability to prosecute people who are intimidating or blocking people at voting booths. The bill made society much more equal, but it still had ways to go. So many black people marched and protested for more equality. It was the first civil rights legislation since 1875, emphasizing the right for all people to vote.
And establishing
The Civil Rights Section of the Justice Department.
H.R. 6127.
Proposed President Dwight D. Eisenhower passed through Congress.
though not before it revised several key provisions.
Like granting the ability to investigate,
but not prosecute.
Citizens who denied or intimidated black voters at voting booths.
H.R. 6127 completely altered.
weak legislation created by
Strong opposition.
Appealing to
And appeasing
the masses.
And so blacks marched for better, no, equal rights, and marched and marched and marched and marched. That's resilience, kids. They fought for years, and the bill was eventually passed, but they wouldn't settle for less than equal. They kept fighting, no matter how close they were.
Hi, my name is Carmen. I'm a philosopher. Here's a poem that I was just brushing up on a few moments ago involving morality. Wake up to fire, sweeping the ceiling,
Smoke!
filling the air. Everyone starts running,
Yelling.
Screaming!
Clawing at windows.
clawing at each other. You escape through an opening, barely, just in time to see it
Collapse!
Wow. Yikes.
Yeah, but how does this explain morality?
This quote is a perfect example of morality. It explains the dark reality of what happened to black people all over the United States and how it felt to be in that situation by using specific wording to draw out feelings of fear and sympathy. The Negro Boys Industrial School was burned down by the Ku Klux Klan. I have some important work to get to, and I'm sure my other colleagues do as well. I hope you all have enjoyed your tour and learned a few things that you can take home with you today. Bye now.
Hey kids, I just got finished grading some papers in the museum's cafe. Did you guys have a good time?
Yeah, actually, I really liked it. It was so cool to see what it was like to live in those times and learn about the way people inspire change. I thought it was just going to be a repeat of what we'd already learned, but seeing everything through the pictures and the words of the museum curators really helped add a layer to my understanding.
Yes, it was actually very fun. I enjoyed it so much. I don't think I could even pick my favorite exhibit.
Believe it or not, we actually found some common ground in our understanding of things. And the way we intend on making changes starts our own society.
I could not be more proud of you all. Let's head back to school. History has become
A beautiful American lie.
Overseers rewrite it.
And always deny.
People the right
To know the ugly truth.
Only tell part of it.
Especially to the youth.
Peace.
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 They always insist.
While lawmakers attempt
To cease and desist.
the full story.
From impressionable minds.
There's no better way.
To keep everyone in line. From the Civil War.
To civil rights.
They'll never stop downplaying.
The brutality of our fights.
So now you know some of the things they keep from you. I can only hope you'll spread the knowledge too.
Because there's only one way.
To set everyone free.
It starts with making a difference.
It starts with you and me.